One noticed the bruises at first. Not in a building filled with glass walls, polished floors, and people rushing past each other with coffee cups and phones pressed to their ears. But one morning, a powerful CEO looked up from his busy world and saw something he couldn't unsee. What happened next didn't just change one life. It changed an entire company and reminded everyone watching that kindness, when given at the right moment, can be stronger than money, power, or fear. Before we begin, if you enjoy real, emotional stories that remind you of the good still left in this world, please subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. This is True Story Tales, and your support helps us bring more meaningful stories like this to life. Now, let me tell you what happened. Michael Carter was the CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the United States. From the outside, his life looked perfect. Corner office. Custom suits. A schedule packed with meetings that decided the future of thousands of employees. People saw him as sharp, demanding, and always in control. But what most people didn't know was that Michael hadn't always lived like this. Years ago, before success found him, he had been a struggling college student, working night shifts to pay rent. Life had taught him how hard the world could be, but somewhere along the way, buried under deadlines and pressure, that memory had faded. Every morning, Michael arrived early. He liked the quiet before the building filled up. One morning, as he stepped out of the elevator, he noticed the cleaner mopping the floor near the conference rooms. The man's name was Daniel. Daniel was always polite. Always invisible. He wore the same faded blue uniform and kept his eyes down. He worked before most employees arrived and stayed late after they left. To many, he was just part of the background. That morning, Daniel reached for a trash bag, and his sleeve slid up. Michael froze. There were bruises. Dark, finger-shaped marks wrapped around Daniel's forearm. Old ones. New ones. A story written on skin. Daniel noticed Michael staring and quickly pulled his sleeve down. "Sorry, sir," Daniel said softly, his voice tight. "I'll be out of your way." Michael nodded, but his chest felt heavy. He walked into his office, but he couldn't focus. Emails blurred together. Numbers lost meaning. Those bruises stayed in his mind. For the rest of the day, Michael watched Daniel quietly from a distance. He saw how Daniel flinched when doors slammed. How he moved carefully, as if trying not to attract attention. How tired his eyes looked, like someone who never truly rested. That night, Michael stayed late. As he stepped into the hallway, he saw Daniel again alone, emptying bins. Michael cleared his throat. "Daniel, right?" Daniel looked startled. "Yes, sir." "Can we talk for a minute?" Michael asked. Daniel hesitated. Employees didn't usually talk to CEOs. Especially not cleaners. But he nodded. They stood in the break room. The hum of vending machines filled the silence. Michael spoke gently. "I noticed your arm this morning." Daniel's shoulders stiffened. "You don't have to tell me anything," Michael said quickly. "But I want you to know. I care." Daniel looked down. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then his voice cracked. "It's my brother," he whispered. "I live with him. He's not well. Gets angry. I can't afford to leave. If I miss work, we don't eat." Michael felt something break inside him. Daniel wasn't asking for money. He wasn't asking for sympathy. He was simply surviving. "Thank you for trusting me," Michael said. "You don't deserve this." Daniel gave a sad smile. "I don't have many choices." Michael went home that night and didn't sleep. He thought about power. About how much of it he had and how little he used it to help people right in front of him. The next morning, everything changed. Michael called an emergency leadership meeting. Executives filled the boardroom, confused and curious. He stood at the head of the table and said, "We talk a lot about innovation and growth. But today, we're talking about people." The room went quiet. He told them Daniel's story without naming him. He talked about unseen workers. About fear. About dignity. Then he made an announcement that left everyone stunned. The company would be launching a full employee care program. Not just for executives, but for everyone. Cleaners. Security. Contractors. Mental health support. Legal help. Emergency housing assistance. Paid time off for crisis situations. Some executives shifted uncomfortably. Michael looked at them and said firmly, "If we succeed by ignoring suffering, then our success means nothing." That same day, Michael asked Daniel to come to his office. Daniel sat nervously in the chair across from him. "You're not in trouble," Michael said with a warm smile. Michael explained everything. The new support program. The resources. The help available immediately. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "I don't understand," he said. "Why are you doing this for me?" Michael leaned forward. "Because someone once helped me when I had nothing. And because kindness should never depend on job titles." The company arranged safe housing for Daniel that very week. Legal services helped him get a protective order. Counseling gave him space to heal. For the first time in years, Daniel slept without fear. Word spread quickly through the building. Employees noticed changes. Executives greeted cleaners by name. Managers listened more. The workplace felt human. Daniel's posture changed. He smiled more. He stood taller. Months later, Michael was walking through the office when Daniel stopped him. "Sir," Daniel said, his voice steady now. "I'm taking classes. Night school. I want to move into facilities management one day." Michael smiled. "I believe you will." The story didn't end there. Other employees began sharing their struggles. And instead of hiding them, the company faced them together. Productivity went up. Loyalty deepened. Turnover dropped. But the biggest change wasn't measured in numbers. It was measured in moments. A smile in the hallway. A hand on a shoulder. A simple question, "Are you okay?" 1 year later, at a company-wide meeting, Michael stood on stage and looked out at hundreds of faces. He said, "Kindness is not weakness. It's leadership. It's courage. And it's the legacy we choose to leave." The room erupted in applause. Daniel stood near the back, no longer invisible. He wasn't just a cleaner anymore. He was proof. Proof that one moment of compassion can rewrite someone's future. And proof that when we choose kindness, especially when no one expects it, we don't just change lives. We change the world, one brave, human choice at a time. So as you go about your day, remember this story. Look up. Notice the people around you. You never know whose life might change because you chose kindness when it mattered most.